Hi, welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. Today I'm going to help you work out how to price your knitted items that you want to sell. Hi, welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. I'm here with Knitting Now to help you learn to knit the easy way. We are talking more about knitting for profit this week, and it's going to be about how you can price your knitted items. So this is a big question. There are so many options out there and there are so many ideas as well. It should be a bargain, it should be good quality, so it should be more expensive. And is there some kind of medium in between? We're going to work that out today, and I'll give you a few tips on how you can decide on your own prices and not look at anyone else's. Right, so if you are new here, do hit subscribe, and YouTube is much more likely to show you my videos. If you hit the little bell as well, it will notify you of any new videos that appear. I give you a new video every Tuesday, every week. There are 3 videos for Knitting for Profit already. If you go into my channel, you'll find the playlist Knitting for Profit. So go and have a look at those videos as well. It'll be really helpful for you to just get a full rounded idea of whether you or not you actually want to knit for profit, whether or not you need more information before you start. So, pricing your knits, you're going to need a few metrics before you start. So the first thing you're going to need to work out is how much time does it take you to knit something. Realise it's going to take you a lot more time to knit a baby blanket than it is to knit a baby beanie or even a baby cloth or a baby bib. A baby blanket is much larger, so it could take you 8, 9, 10 times as long as knitting a smaller item. So think about that in your pricing, and I would really suggest that you sit there and you do a timesheet. When you're knitting for your business, when you know that you're knitting an item that you want to sell, sit there, work out when you start knitting and then make a note of when you finish knitting. So you'll actually have an idea of how long it takes you to knit each item. The next thing you need to think about is the cost of the yarn. How much does it cost you to buy yarn? And as in some of my other videos, this is not a place where you should say, I need to find the cheapest, I need to find the cheapest, how am I going to find the cheapest? I need to really look for a bargain. Because if you knit something and you sell it, it doesn't last very long, then those customers are not going to come back and want to buy more. So you need to make sure that it's good enough quality to not just last while it's sitting on your stall or in your Etsy shop looking like a brilliant photograph. It needs to be a good enough yarn so that once you've knitted it up, people start using it, people start washing it, and they're going to love it. It's going to stay in a good shape, the colours aren't going to fade, and it's not going to be pilling or bobbling as well. The price of your yarn and how much yarn you're going to use is also going to have to go on your little metric sheet. Now, there are more things you have to think about. Sometimes it's just the cost of the yarn and any embellishments, like a button maybe, and the time that it takes to knit. But actually, if you're selling stuff, there are a lot of other costs as well. If you are doing this as simply as going to the local fair and making sure that you've got a table, well, that table costs you something. You also need to set up your table. Do you have to buy labels? Do you have to account for PayPal fees? If you put a little PayPal app on your phone so people can pay you with a card instead of with cash, just those little things will add up over time, and you'll start to think, why am I not making any profit? That's what we're thinking about in this video. You want to knit for profit. It really does matter what your intention is when you start knitting for selling. This is a hobby. You're not that worried about making profit, but you would like some money left over when you've finished, so maybe it will pay for all of your yarn when you want to knit something. Then you still have to make a profit. It can't just be, it's just the cost of the yarn. Because there's the time, there's even the petrol or the bus fare to get to the fair when you want to sell things. If you want to run an Etsy shop, that has fees attached to it. If you want a website, that has fees attached to it. There's so many different places you have to think about the costs adding up. Don't let it scare you. I think that is a massive issue, is that we can get scared by this. It's like, oh crikey, I've got to take note of so many different things. I'm just going to give up and not do this at all. you can think about how much it would cost you over the year to do these different things and say, right, the average is, that's how many items I want to knit. So I'll just divide it up by the number of items, and that is my average extra cost that I have to add onto each item. It's that simple. So you may have to add £2 to every item so that you pay for all of your fees. That's it. It might be that simple. So you have to think about the time that you're taking to knit. And I've said it before, you want to charge something like £10 an hour. If you want to consider using better quality yarn, you really do have to take account for that. So you have to add that on. However much yarn you use for each item, add that on as well, and add on the fees, or an average per item of the fees as well. And then you're going to have to add on something so you profit. Multiply that by 2 maybe, and then you might have a profit. It's really is very difficult because there's a comparisonitis as well. Oh, but they're charging less. Oh, but they're charging more. Does that mean I'm all right in the middle here, or do I need to start charging more, or do I need to start charging less? You have to think about your business, how you want to charge for things, not everybody else. And when you're selling your knitting, you don't want to devalue handmade knits either. And that is the issue with charging too little. If you're charging too little, you are letting people know who are coming to buy from you that you don't value your hand knitted things very much. So they shouldn't expect to be paying anything more than they would in a high street store. Whereas in fact, if it's hand knitted, then you do have to pay more. A lot of time, effort, energy, experience has gone into knitting those items, and a lot of thought and intention has gone into knitting those items. You think about the colours, you think about the patterns, you really do create your own brand when you start knitting items for sale. So they are buying into the concept of your brand, and they're not just going there and buying a hat. They're saying, I really like what you've created here as a collection, as a brand. I really want some of that. This is why girls go to particular high street stores when they're teenagers, because they're buying into the brand. They want it emblazoned across the front of their t-shirt. I've bought from this high street shop. And that is why people buy from you. And that's why people will go back to you and buy again and again and again. So think about that. Value who you are, value what you've created, and price within that as well. Okay, I hope that's easy for you to understand. If you'd like more ideas on pricing, then click the link below. I've got a whole video that is part of my Knitting for Profit course, Profitable Knitting Secrets. And if you'd like to have a sneak peek inside that, go and click below on the link. That will take you to a free pricing video. And I'll give you a whole lot more tips in there, and you can have a free PDF download as well that will help you set up your timesheet, set up the metrics that you need to start following as you start knitting for profit. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that was helpful. If it was, then give me a thumbs up and give me a comment below. Are you just starting to knit for profit, or have you been knitting for a while and maybe you're not making enough profit, so you need to work out your prices? Thank you for joining me. I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Happy knitting.